Ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome into the Monster Truck Hall of Fame, Jim Kramer.
Hello. Let me get this thing pointed up. Can you hear me okay? All right, good. Hey, I want to thank, well, there's so many people to thank, because a guy like this don't do this all on his own. I mean, you know, getting inducted, you got to have some place to get inducted into. And Jeff and all the guys that sponsor the museum and everybody put time in. You got, you know, Alan Pizzo, you got Ross, you got just everybody that works on it. The sponsors, hey, we got Summit this year, that's great, and all the other sponsors that are into this thing. The research committee that did all the work. Bob Chandler sat down and explained to me how this all worked, and it took him like 15 minutes, but it was a very elaborate system to get people, you know, nominated. And I'm very thankful for every vote I got, and I really appreciate that. But Dean Cruz, I want to thank him for letting us, you know, house this in this building. And I'm glad the building's big, because I think in the future we're going to have more trucks come in. And that's what we need to make this thing really be something. We need more contributions with trucks and everybody to get the word out. I have my family to thank. I want to thank my wife, Julie, who actually got me out of this business. When she said one day, you know, I didn't marry you to live by myself. And at the time, I was working a construction equipment job all day, and I was working on pickup trucks all night. And I thought, well, that's an easy choice. I'll just sell out. So Bob and I were in business. I sold out. And about 3 years later, Bob comes back and says, boy, this thing's really kind of taken off. I need some help. And I'm thinking, no, I don't want to do that. You know, my wife didn't like that the first time. So I went back and talked to her about it. She goes, you know, I got out of it because I loved her, and she got me back in it because she loved me. She goes, go ahead and do it. So I did, and Bob put me on the road, and I remember the first day I took off with his truck behind a Winnebago motorhome. And he stood by the edge of the road like this until I was out of sight, because that was everything that man owned. He put in my pocket and let me take it down the road and go do his show. And he had other work to do back home, and I do appreciate that. But my wife, like I said, let me come back into it. My family, I've got a wonderful daughter, Kate. She's about to give me another grandson any day, so I'm going to leave here like early tomorrow morning and rush home and wait, because it's going to be any day now. I'm sorry she couldn't be here. We're going to miss her, but she's here in spirit. My son made it, my son Russell. You know, here's a guy that, the thing I didn't like about this job was the time I missed raising him. He didn't get to travel with me very much, and I spend the rest of my days trying to make that up to him. And he brightens my heart every time I hear his band play downstairs, because he stayed home and became quite the musician, you know, and arranges music and all that stuff. So all those people need to be thanked. I also want to thank Bob and Marilyn Chandler for giving me a chance and trusting me with their equipment and their name and their image, and let me go out and try to do something with it. They kind of gave me a home there, you know, and the fans gave me a family. I learned early on, if you go out and show off enough and just try to do a good job, they appreciate it. And all you have to do is just try, you know, that's all they want. And they really appreciated everything I did. So I would do stupid things like walk on tires and whatever I could think of just to please them. And we created a fan base. All of us out here created this fan base, and it's a wonderful fan base we have. They wait in line for hours to see us and talk to us. Now, I'm a farm kid, grew up on a farm, didn't have anything. Didn't travel anywhere. It's just, I started doing this. I've been in every state in the union numerous times, different countries, and got to do things I never thought I would do, movies, music videos. I just did Larry Cable Guy last week. You know, Larry's a great guy. But you know, to have this type of a sport, a young sport that's come so far so fast. I made a comment the other day, well, yesterday, or this morning, I guess it was. This is really America. The monster trucks have become part of Americana. And I knew this some years ago when we went to California. We did an AT&T commercial one day, and the next day we did a Firestone tire commercial. And I said, this is it. We have arrived, you know. People recognize monster trucks now. It's not some funky thing that, oh, yeah, it's the monster truck. No, I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody knows what a monster truck is now. You see them in commercials, you see them all over. And that's thanks to everybody out there doing their job and trying to do the best job they can. So I'm going to leave it at that. I do want to thank everybody for their votes. I'm very gratified to be in here. I was blown away by the induction last year, the quality of what went in it. And I said to myself, I would be proud to be inducted. So thanks.
All right, Jim, so one of the things we're going to do this year with all of our inductees is a little bit of a question-answer session. And you checked some things off my list for me there with that speech, and that was great. I think all of us in the crowd that grew up fans of Bigfoot, monster trucks in general, appreciate that kind of insight that comes from right here with you. So definitely a gratitude from all of us on that. What I'd like to ask you is, a lot of people are like, Jim Kramer, he was the first real hired gun out there. But you were more than a hired gun, and you still are. You've always been an integral part of the Bigfoot team and how it's progressed, and of the monster truck industry as a whole. You know, you were out there championing this industry. You're one of the first drivers that I noticed that could give a really good interview on camera. So tell us a little bit, when you started showing up on TV, doing some more of those races and stuff like that, how did you approach your professionalism to translate that to the people and try and represent this industry well?
I tried to speak clearly. Now, really, they put a mic in front of your face, and you're talking to people who might be seeing this sport for the first time. And that's a potential fan. You know, you might make them or break them right there. So you try to be informative. You try to look like half-assed know what you're doing or talking about, and try to give them a background on what you're doing and how much you're into it, because if they see your enthusiasm, they're just liable to be enthused and want to see this again and come see a show or watch it again on TV. So it was all about building a brand. You know, we're out there with the first to be out there, and you know, a lot of people came right behind us. And like I say, everybody did their job. The brand got built, and the brand is monster trucks. It's not any team built the brand. Everyone built the brand, and it's very successful today. And my goal back then was to introduce everyone to Bigfoot that I could.
All right, so as you introduce people to Bigfoot through the medium of TV, not just live events and such, I think for a lot of people in my age group, and I know there's a lot of us out here that like this particular show, there was a show that came out in the mid-'80s called Return of the Monster Trucks. It featured what was arguably the first true side-by-side monster truck race over an obstacle course in the Louisiana Superdome. You won that night against one of last year's inductees, Jeff Dane. He was driving one of the awesome Kong trucks. And you and I have talked about it in private and joked about how important I think that race was for Bigfoot to win. But share with everybody here your thoughts on that night, because now in hindsight we can look back and see that was a pretty pivotal night. What did you see that night, and where did you think that might go from there?
Well, that night is interesting. It was one of the first times we had races, and this race consisted of a sled pull, an unhook, and go down, make a turn, come over a hill, and do some, and jump a set of cars and go through some mud, and you were done. And Bob Chandler was down there, and Bob Chandler has a way of becoming excited. You know, if he wasn't driving, he was on the ground, he's going, hey, you know, he's the biggest cheerleader out there as far as get your butt moving, boy. And I was doing okay, you know, I was staying in the rounds. And he'd come back and say, so-and-so's got a better time than you, you got to go faster. Yeah, okay, I'll see what I can do. I'm still in this. So I come up and I race that so-and-so, and I beat him. He said, yeah, but the other guy, you know, he's got a faster time than you. So unless you had the fastest time of the night, you were getting prodded to get it. But anyway, it came down to Jeff and I, and Bob said, man, he's really, because Jeff had the aircraft engine, had some power, so I knew if I could hold my own in the sled pull, I might get a chance to get him on the obstacle course. Well, I held my own. The old Ford did pretty good. I mean, I don't know if all those Holly carburetors choked on him or whatever, but it's a little slow getting out of the hole, and he passed me up pulling the sled, and then we unhooked. I got a real clean unhook from Ken Kelly. You know, he went out safe zone. I saw that he was safe, and I just took off. Well, Jeff's over the hill before me, and Jeff's coming up the cars, and Jeff slowed down, and I didn't. And I just hit those cars just about as fast as I could hit them and flew over them, landed good enough, straight enough, stayed, you know, straight, and got through the mud and won the race. And that was one of the first times we really ever raced monster trucks. It was pretty heads up. Everybody wanted to kill each other that night. I'm telling you, everybody was racing hard. And I thought, wow, that was really fun. We ought to do this every weekend. We ought to get some kind of race going on. So I went to Florida, and we did a format down there, and I went down there, so I was really pumped. You know, those two races, but I felt that was the first time we ever really started truly racing monster trucks.
So that night opened a huge door for the monster truck industry performance-wise. It introduced competitive side-by-side racing. Obviously, that's caught on. For you, you were riding in BIGFOOT 4 that night. In the fleet of BIGFOOT trucks, that's a legendary truck. In the industry, it's a legendary truck. What did that truck do for your driving career, opening doors to new levels of performance for you, having come out of BIGFOOTs 1, 2, and 3, which obviously were not quite as capable because of, you know, they were stage 1 monster trucks. So what did 4 do for you and let you do to grow as a driver?
4 was a very pivotal truck. It was probably the most changed truck. No, I can't say that. Maybe number 8 was probably the most changed truck, but 4 was the most changed steel body truck. It started out a lead sled like the rest of them, but by the time number 4 got built, the people were getting tired of just driving over cars. You know, you had to hit them. We started hitting them sideways and actually jumping on them and running them faster and doing courses like that. So when we first built 4, it wasn't quite up to the task for all that. So we changed it and changed it and we changed it. And it really showed what a monster truck could do. I remember doing Indianapolis. It was an outdoor event. It was in a great big area, and he had a course set up. And you started, and we were all vying. All the monster trucks were vying for a set of brand new Goodyear tires. If you won that set of Goodyear tires. So we got out there and run around that course, and I had a good fast time. It was a pretty neat course. I mean, and the other guys come around there, and they end up winning that. And I wanted a set of Goodyear tires, and Bob Chandler, in his graciousness, says, you know what, we're just going to give these Goodyear tires to this guy. And I'll go, what the hell? So anyway, he gets a set of Goodyear tires away, but coming back to that, there was some media people there, Four Wheeler Magazine, and they come up to me and says, that's the first time I ever saw a monster truck run as hard as at every race and stayed together. You know, because they were kind of fragile. If you could make it through a night without breaking a transmission or a knuckle or a tie run in or something like that, you were doing pretty good. And that kind of opened up everybody's eyes that, hey, these things can run and stay together and put on a show and be there to the last. Because I'm not the only guy that finished. There's a couple other monster trucks also finished. So, yeah, that truck was very pivotal in that respect. Always a good ride, always took care of you. I mean, you know, if you can drive it, it would drive you. It got you through the bad spots so many times, you know, because some days you're the dog and some days you're the bone. And that's the way it is. The truck will drive you if you let it. So it was a great truck, very pivotal. We drove it for a long time. It went on to other drivers, and they kept continuing to race it. And we sold it some years back, and it was still doing some stuff. Now I think it's sitting again. But that truck is still out there, and Bob knows this. If you put the right motor in that thing and you do an indoor type show, it'd probably be pretty competitive yet.
I think that says a lot for you know, the driver input you were able to give the BIGFOOT team to continue improving those vehicles and such. So to wrap up here a little bit, last question. Every guy that's going into this Hall of Fame that went in last year and is going in this year has a legacy that they've left on this sport. How would you like to best be remembered by your fans and your peers in the monster truck industry? What is, in your mind, the legacy that Jim Kramer, as a driver and a personality in the sport, leaves us with?
Well, first of all, I mean, you're going out and doing this, you're having a blast. You're having a lot of fun. It's a lot of hard work, but you're having a blast. You're not thinking about leaving a legacy, so to speak. So the legacy is going to take care of itself. It's like, you know, if you did this, okay, that's cool. But I just want to be known as a guy who went out and tried to do a good job and try to build a brand and do a good job for the people, you know, impress the people so they would stay with us. It was all important because when I was driving, I was very early on, we were it was a make or break thing for monster trucks. They went sky high, they went like this, and they start coming back every year, and they're coming back to popularity. So I rode this, and I also rode this, and I really helped this, you know, in the industry. And if I can have just a legacy of a guy doing a good job, being entertaining, because I can't think of a better way to, you know, I mean, I got paid really well for showing off and having a good time. You know, I pay for it now with some aches and pains, and but I'll accept all that. And I'm just happy to be able to still be in this industry and get to still do things with drivers. I love working with these young drivers. You know, I'm getting a little bit older, and these guys keep me young. The way I think, the way I approach things, the younger people I work with, you know, the better I feel. And anybody who's feeling down about themselves, hook up with a young guy and start traveling at his speed, and you know, all of a sudden you're going to be about 10 years younger. And before I go, I do have to thank Alan Gaines for one thing. Alan, thanks for not shooting me dead in St. Louis. I'd appreciate that. And I want to give you a little story behind that. I'm in St. Louis, and the Checker Dome is not as big as this room. And I'm swinging around a turn, and my back tire hits a loader bucket, and the loader bucket goes right into the side of the Orange Blossom Special. Now, this is the most revered truck in the pulling industry. You never see a speck of dirt on it because Alan's right on that. He's going to get that speck of dirt off of there. And this thing ran like a champ. I got out of the truck. He says, my crew guy goes, Kramer, you're dead. I go, what? What did I do? And he goes, you hit Alan Gaines' truck. I said, he's not on the floor. I didn't hit his truck. No, you hit the loader that hit Alan Gaines' truck. You're dead. So I immediately went over and talked to Alan. I said, Alan, I apologize, and if I can pay for anything, I will. I really, you know, sorry about hitting your truck. And Alan just looks at me and said, don't worry about it, son. You know, things happen. And it's a quality guy. I mean, I was expecting the worst, and being the gentleman that he was, and I guess figuring out it's just a stupid move by a young kid, so he's going to let that slide. Thanks again, Alan. I want to thank you all for the induction. It really means a lot to me to be inducted. It really does. I really feel for this organization, this hall. I really feel it is something that's not superficial. It is the real deal. And I like real deals. Lay it on the line. Don't waste my time. Do it right or don't do it. And I'm just happy to be in it. Thank you all.